Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, a humble beginning that would shape a man of resilience, self-education, and resolve. With little formal schooling and no inherited wealth, Lincoln's rise to prominence was not preordained. He worked as a rail splitter, store clerk, and self-taught lawyer before entering politics. He was in many ways the embodiment of the American dream, a living testament to the idea that one's origins need not determine one's destiny. Yet for all the greatness we now ascribe to him, we must begin with a sober truth. Abraham Lincoln was a man of his time. He held views on race and equality that by modern standards fall short of the ideal. In the early years of his political life, Lincoln did not advocate for the full social and political equality of Black Americans. He expressed views in debates and speeches that accepted white superiority and at times proposed colonization plans. The idea of sending freed slaves to Africa or Central America, which reflected discomfort with the idea of an integrated America. These facts must not be hidden. They must be faced. But to stop at his flaws would be to miss the forest for the trees. Because Lincoln grew, he evolved. He listened, learned, and ultimately changed. And that is the mark of real leadership. In 1860, the nation stood on the brink of disunion. The issue of slavery had festered for generations, a brutal, dehumanizing institution that contradicted the very founding ideals of liberty and justice. When Lincoln was elected president, 7 Southern states seceded before he even took office. By the time he walked into the White House, the United States was 2 separate countries in everything but name. Lincoln's paramount goal at the outset of the Civil War was to preserve the Union, not to abolish slavery. This, too, must be acknowledged. But as the war dragged on, Lincoln came to see, and perhaps always suspected, that the Union could not truly survive unless it addressed the moral rot at its core: slavery. The war would not merely be a test of geography or political power, but a referendum on the nation's soul. And so in 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, a bold stroke that declared enslaved people in rebelling states to be free. While limited in its immediate practical effect, the proclamation transformed the Civil War into a moral crusade and made clear that slavery's days were numbered. It opened the door for nearly 200,000 Black men to fight for the Union cause, and it paved the way for the 13th Amendment, which permanently abolished slavery in the United States. To understand the weight of that achievement is to understand what Lincoln faced. He was maligned by his enemies, doubted by his allies, and plagued by self-doubt. He bore the burden of war on his shoulders, personally read casualty lists, and visited the wounded in hospitals. His cabinet was divided, his country splintered, and his own family endured tragedy. He led not in calm, but in chaos, not from certainty, but from principle. And through it all, he wrote and spoke with clarity and compassion. His words remain etched in the granite of American memory. The Gettysburg Address, only 272 words, redefined the Civil War as a struggle not just for union, but for a new birth of freedom. And in his second inaugural address, with the war near its end, he offered not vengeance, but reconciliation, with malice toward none, with charity for all. These were not the words of a conqueror, but of a man who had glimpsed the cost of hate in the price of division. Lincoln's assassination in April 1865 came just days after General Lee surrendered at Appomattox. He did not live to see the full fruits of his labor, nor the long, hard journey of reconstruction that would follow. His death left a vacuum that would never fully be filled. So today, let us honor Lincoln not as a saint, but as something far rarer, a man who, though deeply flawed, rose to meet history with courage, moral clarity, and empathy. He did not end slavery alone. He stood on the shoulders of abolitionists, activists, soldiers, and formerly enslaved people who fought for freedom long before and long after him. But he played an essential role in ending one of the greatest evils in American history, and for that he deserves our enduring respect. Lincoln once said, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present." He knew that nations must be willing to confront hard truths, to reckon with their sins, and to fight for a more just future. That legacy, not of perfection, but of moral progress, is his true monument. Let us carry it forward, not in marble and bronze, but in our actions and in our hearts. Thank you.